today, my presentation, I was my outline. We talk about introduction and high-level comparison with Angular React View and history of Svelte and what is Svelte and the features of Svelte. And then I will talk about life cycle hooks and there's an inbuilt store in Svelte and some drawbacks of Svelte. And then I do a small demo where I create a small text editor app and the conclusion. So as the introduction, is there anyone who have heard of Svelte before? All you guys all you guys hear me? Is there anyone who have heard of Svelte? I hope no. So I will continue.
We can hear you, but I don't think anyone has worked on it before.
Okay. So as the introduction, then so you all know there are many JS frameworks in the world, and some are very popular due to some reasons. And I think you all know the reasons. And first of all, I should say that I don't like the fact that there are many JS frameworks to build web applications in the world. When I hear a new framework is going to come out, I will really annoying. But on the other hand, I will like if any of those frameworks can enhance the developer experience, because it is easy for developers to code. So when I go through the internet, I came across Svelte is one of such frameworks. So as the and this is one reason that why I selected Svelte for this tech talk. So as you have seen, have you heard of real world app? It's there is a repo where they have created a real world app using different technologies. So in here, this is a high level comparison of these three properties of same project called real world app built using these four technologies, and you can find the repos of these projects to the link link above. And when talking of the performance, when comparing with performance, anyway, so what do you mean by performance of a web application? It means how long this app takes to show content and become usable. So when comparing, they have checked the performance of these web applications and using Lighthouse audit app that comes with Chrome. So and Lighthouse returns a performance score between 0 and 100, and 0 is the lowest possible score. And normally for the apps score about 90, you won't probably feel a lot of difference when it comes to performance. So Angular has 93, 80, 94 and 91, and Svelte has also more than 90% of score. And when talking about when considering the number of lines, they have used application called clock to count the number of lines in each repo, and they have counted the number of lines in the source folder of those applications. And so here the same application has written using these four technologies, and Svelte has the minimum number of lines to develop this web application. And when talking about the size, they have considered the transfer size in the network tab of the Chrome. So when you can see that Svelte has the lowest transfer size of the web application. So when I go to the internet, I saw that Svelte and there are so many other JS frameworks as I mentioned before. And above all, Svelte has the lowest bundle size of the web app among other frameworks. So I decided to talk about Svelte. So I will go through the history. I mean, there's no much to talk about history. Uh, so the founder of Svelte is Rich Harris, and they at the very beginning he has created a framework called Reactive.js, but after that the Svelte was released in 2016 November 29th, and the second edition was released in 19th April 2018, and then recently Rich Harris launched his Svelte 3, which is super awesome. I mean, they have developed. Rich Harris talk in his there is a tech talk session done by Rich Harris named Rethinking Reactivity. There he mentions several changes and what are the things he has done in the Svelte tree application. So actually, what is Svelte? As I mentioned in the description below, Svelte is a radical new approach to build user interfaces, and but traditional frameworks like React and Vue do the bulk of their work in the browser. It means there is some kind of bundle files in the browser, and they do some tasks in the browser also to give the view to the user. And but Svelte shift this task into a compile step. That happens when you build your application. And instead of using techniques like virtual DOM define, Svelte writes code that surgically updates the DOM when the state of your app changes. So mainly they have mentioned these three features: less code, no virtual DOM, truly reactive. So when talking about Svelte, actually it is not a framework, it's a compiler. And compiler plus some framework features, together they have built Svelte framework. And what I should highlight here is that in Svelte is they don't use virtual DOM define. It's in normally in React and Vue they use virtual DOM, and in their websites they mention that it because of virtual DOM they have been able to increase the reactivity of the web applications. But Rich Harris in his talk as I what I told rethinking reactivity talk he says he explains that uh, React is not really reactive, something like that, with regard to the virtual DOM. So version in Svelte 3 is a significant overhaul because it delivers an outstanding and amazing developer experience and write component with significantly less boilerplate. So as a summary, the three main features of Svelte are less code, no virtual DOM, and truly reactive. So what do you mean by less code? Writing fewer lines of code saves time, reduces the bugs, and increases the readability. And Svelte tries to enforce this by introducing a simple format. A typical hello world code in Svelte would look uh, something like this. And in the code above, there is a simple script tag that encloses the code written in JavaScript, and below script tag there is a typical HTML heading and all that. And moreover, Svelte lets you update the local state of a variable with is by using assignment operator. In React, however, users must use state use state hook, which makes the code heavier. So can anybody explain what is the virtual DOM, and can you explain briefly how virtual DOM works? Can anybody explain briefly? Uh, okay. So first of all, I will explain what is a virtual DOM. It's a programming concept where an ideal or a virtual representation of the user interface is kept in memory and synced with the real DOM by libraries such as React DOM. That is what that is how it is defined in the React page. And normally when you update a variable in a code, then they create a virtual DOM, and then after that they compare that virtual DOM snapshot with the previous snapshot, and then after that they update the real DOM and render the real DOM. That is what happens in the normal virtual DOM. But and what you must understand is a virtual DOM is not a feature but an approach. But in React, then highlight it as a feature like that. I don't know why. Anyway, what you should understand, virtual DOM is an overhead, because when there is a real DOM and if we create another thing, it is a overhead, isn't it? So in Svelte, they don't use virtual DOM because it is an overhead. So that is the main feature, one of the main features in Svelte. So next feature is that truly reactive. Svelte surgically updates the DOM at build time. This lets users build their application as per their requirement without caring about the unnecessary overhead. To change the state in React or Vue, the users need to use hooks, or the hooks are fundamental elements for updating the state. They generate unnecessary work for the garbage collector. For example, you can see the React code and Svelte code on the opposite side to update the counter values. There's a counter, and this is the React code, and this is just the Svelte code. Then, so these three are the main features of Svelte that makes it unique among other component frameworks. So next thing is that in Svelte 3, Rich introduces these three new features: reactive assignment, reactive declaration, and reactive statement. So what is meant by reactive assignment? So reactive assignment means that what do you mean by a assignment? What do you mean by an assignment? Assignment is some kind of expression that is joined using equal mark. I hope I'm correct. So in Svelte, every assignment is reactive. Every line that you write as an assignment is reactive. It means for a in Svelte, for a DOM update to be triggered, an assignment should be there. If there is no assignment, the DOM is not going to be updated. So I will show you an example. I have to move to my browser. Wait. So here, wait, I will show you what I mean by this. So uh, so I have this is Svelte REPL playground, and So in the script, normally in the normal component structure is like this. There's a script, and after that you can put HTML tags anywhere here. And if you have some kind of styles, then you can add them inside the style tag also. And I have created an array Uditgan and string array, and then I have bind this value with this input value, and then I have created a define a function where when you type a name, so I will type hetu, and when I submit you can as the code it should show the new name here, but as there's a console log and I have put I pushed the name to the array, and you can see that the array has this new element, but you can't see this. So why is this happening? Because as I mentioned before, it is because reactive assignment. I said for a DOM updater to be triggered, an assignment is essential. So you have to do something like this. You have to define an assignment. So at that time, the Svelte is going to update the DOM. Now I will type head and I will submit. Then you can see that the name is there directly. So that is called reactive assignment. It's when they identify any state change using an assignment. And I will go through this on click and event later. Back to the presentation. Where's my presentation? This is what I showed you, reactive assignment. Next one is reactive declaration. Here, as I'm typed here, we can declare properties which are derived from other properties and recompute them whenever they change. So for that, they use a special sign, $sign, to make that declaration reactive. This means, okay, I will go to the next example. If there is some problem with the audibility, please let me know. This takes some, my computer is a bit slow. Sorry for that. So normally, anyway, I will skip that part for a while. Normally, here, as I shown in the code, this is also property defined, and this is also property doubled. But let's say if there is a change in the count variable, and if we have put this $sign to make this declaration reactive, whenever there is a change to this variable, this declaration get updated, and this declaration get updated according to the new value of this variable. And next one is the reactive statement. that is another special feature in Svelte. You can make a statement reactive by adding a dollar sign in front. Let's say there is a variable age somewhere defined in the script, and when there is a change in this variable, where there is a change in the value of this variable, this statement going to be triggered. And even when there is a change in this variable somewhere in the end, this statement is going to be triggered. So as well as we can trigger conditional statement also in Svelte using dollar sign. This is another special feature. So next, I will hope to talk about lifecycle hooks
Now,
in
Udit,
Svelte. Yeah.
sorry. Now, for example, now that looks cool. This scripting inside the it's sort of like scripting inside the script, right? I mean, you are
Yeah.
programming like normal coding, and some statements you can mark to automatically re-execute when one of the internal variable changes, right?
Yeah, of course.
Now, what? So, can you also do that? I'm curious to know what would happen if you put something like this inside a for loop. So, would the for loop itself would get re-executed? Uh, um, so,
Yes, yeah, for is inside a for loop. Yes, of course. It's mean if you put what then if you put a array and there is a change, it's mean it's mean it's mean for loop is kind of also an statement. So it is also going to be triggered if let's say there is we are looping an array and there is a change in the array. So it is going to be triggered, the array loop also.
okay.
Next is one is the lifecycle hooks as well as other frameworks. This also has lifecycle hooks. So the first one is on mount. So in on mount functions, this schedules a callback to run as soon as the component has been mounted to the DOM. If the let's say if the on mount callback returns a function, that function will be called when the component is destructed. So can you guys see the whole presentation? I'm not sure. Okay, so it's been here in the code you can see that I have defined on mount function here. So this will be triggered as soon as the component has been mounted. And in this code, in the second code, I have written there's a return statement. So so we can define this kind of return statement when there is like set interval functions where there can be a memory leak. We can close that memory leak. You can stop that memory leak by defining a function that that can be triggered when the component is destroyed. So if you don't define a return function, it's okay, and there's nothing happen. If you define a return function, that is going to be triggered when the component is destroyed. That is the on mount lifecycle hook. And the next one is on destroy. Function schedules a callback to run as soon as the component has been destroyed. So in so this is the code how it is written on destroy. This accepts a function as a parameter. So when you can write a code and we can closing the interval function, we can bring that logic to the on destroy lifecycle hook. And the next one is before update and after update. The before update function schedules the work to happen immediately before the DOM has been updated. So this is going, let's say, in here I have defined a button where I click. When I click, the count value should be incremented one by one, and in each every increment, before incrementing, this before update function runs. And after update is the opposite of that. Is when after updating, this function is going to be triggered every time when there is a state change. After this state change, this is going to be triggered. But anyway, what you should understand is then you should note that before update function will run, will first run before the on amount, before the component has mounted. It means even before this on mount function, before update is going to be triggered. So let's say div tag uh, and div tag, and there's something to do inside that div tag after mounted, and we have written some logic inside the before update tag regarding that div tag, because at the first loading before update is going to trigger, and but there div tag is still, because it has not mounted. So at that time we have to check before running the before update function, we have to check whether there is that div tags, and after that we have to write the code, write a code to change the content inside that tag inside the before update. Did you get what I said? I'm not sure if there is a place where it is not clear. Please ask. And the next one is this is actually kind of a live loop, but yeah, it's a kind of closed life cycle loop. Anyway, unlike other functions, you can call this, and this returns a promise. This take function can return a promise that resolves as soon as any pending state change have been applied to the DOM. And this is very useful where you use asynchronous functions, like I don't know why this thing is not going to work. So here, this is for the tick lifecycle hook. I have created some code. I have written some code. Let's say here, what I do is that when I select something and select the text somewhere, and then when I click tab, the selected text is going to convert it to uppercase. And so here when see again, when I click that, now I click the tab button, then this is converted to uppercase, and the cursor going to the end of the line. What is really happening there is that this takes the selections and convert the into a uppercase, and then after that again this function is going to replace the whole text with the by replacing this part and update the DOM with the new text. So but I have here written some. So what I want to do is that when I after selecting some tag here, when I click the tab, this should be the selected text should be converted into uppercase, and the cursor should be at the same point highlighting the same text without moving the cursor to the end of the point. So for that here, after replacing the text, I take the previous selection. When I select, I take the previous selection value and the selection end value to a selection variable, and after that I have again replaced the selection values. This dot selection start to the previous selection start value and select end value to previous selection end value. But it doesn't happen because when at the time this is going to at the time this is running, this new text has not been updated yet. The replaced text has been not updated. So await, if you put this await tick function, it can wait until there is a change, until the change is fulfilled. So now when I select this and select a text and then I press the tab button, then it doesn't change. It means actually change the whole text, and after that again replace the text, highlight the previously selected text. That is what happens in the tick function. Okay. So moving back to the presentation. So here I not these are the common. I will talk. I will give a introduction to the common syntax of the syntax in Svelte. If there are several, and I'm not going to do some kind of demo for that. It will take time, and so if block is to give you a difference between other other frameworks syntaxes and Svelte syntax, you can see that if there's a if condition, we have to write something like this in the HTML. Normally in Angular you have to write if ngif, and in Svelte you have to put if, something like that. And here we can, this is as introduced, and boolean variable defined in the script. And so even if there is a, you can define else tag also here. And in else if block, yeah, it is similar to the normal if else if conditions. And each block here there is some what can I mean, sorry, I have not put that in. I will, yeah, this is each, this is how each tag is written. So this is things means it is an array, and it takes the value, one item value, and then it's going to, this is a thing is a component, and this the thing value is passed to the HTML tag. We have the frameworks for in Angular you can write ng4 something like it is similar to like that, and this is the array, and this is the single item. And here key block is when we can define a key value for that. Is when in the things things is it is an object array, and that in one of those object there is a, and if we define something like this is going to take this id value as the key value loop. And in await block you can define some kind of in the script you can define some, and we can do something until it is pending. If the promise is in a pending state, we can show something. This is the promise created in the script tag, and we can show something like this. And if the promise has been resolved, then you can show this. Show this, and the number means the value that is that has been resolved. And if there is an error, then you can show this one, this in. And this is how await tag is await is written in Svelte. I think in Vue and Angular we don't have this kind of a feature. And then now I will go talk about Svelte stores. In Svelte, they have their inbuilt store that we can use, and after, if you want, we can do some kind of custom. We can define some custom store also. So for I will show some kind of a demo for that. Okay, this is not going to close. I have to go to the end of the presentation. So this is my demo for the store, and I have defined some components in the web application is in Svelte. If we have a component, we have to the extension of a component will be Svelte, and this is the main component is a main component, and these are the several components that I have created. So don't think about all this yet. And first of all, I will talk about writable stores. Writable stores mean we can define values and to the store. So first I have created a JS file, stores.js, and then I have imported the writable store, and then I have created a count store variable, and this is the default value. First what we should pass to this variable. This is the default value. Then after that, in Svelte component, I'm going to import that count store value, and then this is in this code. I have defined another variable, and I have this is in store we can subscribe to that value. Then I subscribe to the count variable, and then the value, and I assign that value to the count value here. In the HTML part, this is after end of the script tag. There you comes the template part, and here then I have define them. I have put the count value variable as interpolation. So you can see that there is 0 here. That is the first value. Then I have imported the several other component. There I have defined some another component, decrement, increment, and reset a component, and I have imported those component here. Then so try to get an idea how to write the code. So and this is how we can define component inside another component. So increment, decrement, and reset, and this increment button comes from the increment component, decrement button comes from the decrement component, and the reset component comes from this reset component. So I will go to the increment components. Here again we have import the store.js and the store for the count. Then there's a function to update the value. So count.update, and this parameter takes the previous value of the count in the store. So and I increase that by 1 and update the value in the count. So when I click this is going to update the value, and this is for the decrement I have put the minus value of that, and for the resetter in for a store we can set the values by like this. If you want put 5, we can do that 5, and when I resend 5, it shows as 5. And that is about writable store. And writable store comes with subscribe function, set function, and update function. Next one is the readable store. Here I have created a readable store as a variable now time, and this here we can define the default value for this value variable, and here it accepts a function, a start function, and they define a variable like this set. And I have created a constant time updater using set interval, and each interval is me here the in each second it is going to update the value of this now time variable to the today's date. So, and this is going to return another function. This function is going to return another function, stop function, where when the component is destroyed, this stop function is going to be triggered. So, and I in the readable store, this is how I put this is in format. Now time, since I have imported now time from the store.js. And the next one is derived stores. It's been derived stores mean that we can create another store from the previous store values. So let's say this is double count. I have created another store for double count. Here what happens is that when it takes the previous count value and it is multiplied by 2 and set the value for double count. And I have imported that double count, and I use this here in the HTML part. So the another thing that I forgot to mention is that in Svelte, if you define a variable like this with the dollar mark, it is always going to refer to the store value. So I think that is very easy. It's been user developer friendly. So we can refer to the store values directly through this dollar value. And we can't define normal variables using dollar mark in the Svelte also, in Svelte. So that is the store. And next next I will store. After that I'm going to create a do a small demo where we can create a editable text edit. So I will do it quickly. So I have to take an text on Svelte. So this is how we are going to create a Svelte project. Bx digit Svelte JS template. And next we have, I have forgot to mention, put e here. And now we have to give the name to the project, demo text edit. So they are going to download a project, so JS template project. Undefined. Okay. there's a security issue. If you don't mind, let me connect to my remote desktop so that I hope I can do it. PX digit JS template. So it will take a small time if you don't mind. So until that you can go through question answer sessions. I mean, if you have questions you can ask so that I explain. Can you guys hear?
We can hear you.
Can you guys hear? If you have any questions you can ask. And it is this will take a time, little bit time, as I feel. So if I can connect to my remote desktop, it will be quicker. These are the drawbacks of working from home. I think it's going to. I think my connection is so poor and this is not going to work for the demo.
I think the team session and the remote desktop session, like they might be too much.
Yeah. So if I can, it's not going to download. I think my poor connection's error. Container package.json. So this is so apex digit. So there is an issue with, I think, maybe because of the internet connection, it can't download. So if you don't mind, I will skip the demo part as it takes time, and I have already taken much more time than expected. So I will go through the drawbacks of Svelte. So normally the main in Richard also emphasizes that there are some drawbacks here, and the first one is that he highlights is there is no support for the first class TypeScript yet. This mean I think that is the most wanted feature, and he says that he's going to release that feature very recently in near future. And the next drawback is that lack of community. This mean nowadays there's some kind of considerable amount of community for that, but there is not much community like Angular, React, or Vue. And the next thing is that there is a limited amount of edit extensions and components within dev tools for Svelte yet. And the next one is that not many Svelte jobs available yet. And another drawback is that as I feel that Svelte is a one-man show. It's been for React they have Facebook, Angular has their Google, and Vue.js is a kind of a open source project with a huge number of communities together. So, but Svelte is still doesn't have such community. But with the time, I hope that it is going to increase the number of communities. So these are the drawbacks as I feel. But when regarding the code, I think I like Svelte because it's a user friendly. There are some those syntax await tag if tag where we can define if else and tags. I like those, and even in we can refer to store using dollar sign, and there are some three main features: reactive assignment, reactive declaration, and reactive statements, which are very developer friendly, and this is going to reduce the boilerplate of the project. So as the conclusion, mm, this is a really an amazing framework. So when it started working, the developers do not need too much worry about the performance when scaling up your app and when compared to other famous frameworks. But for a company, if you need to try Svelte, I just propose to wait for another 2-3 months until the first class support for TypeScript is released. Otherwise, you'd better try it for your apps. So that's the end of the presentation.